There's nothing like a panel discussion after a presentation to get immediate spot-on validation of everything that I have said, right? And that's fantastic. So I'm going to start with you, and Pradnya, I'm going to start with you because, as I've made it very clear yesterday, I've got a slight preference for ladies in tech. So I'm going to start with you and ask you, like, what are your opinions? Should, I spoke about an intelligence-led cyber strategy. How, what are the challenges, and, what are your thoughts about that?
So you mentioned about cybersecurity tools.
Slightly higher.
Just don't install the security tools, but have intelligence in it. So to that, I will. We have all advanced tools and technologies, but then as per my personal experience, I've seen that the basic infrastructure security is what lacking. People are not focusing on that. So as per my experience, what we have achieved that we get into detail of basic AD infrastructure security assessment. We strengthen that globally, as well as we focused on the user level continuous security awareness, because that's where your threat actors are targeting them, right? Be it phishing, wishing, smishing, right? So, and we have come across, even though you have the two-factor authentication or MFA installed for identity-based attack, where MFA are getting compromised as well. So threat actors are so smart, they are diverting their voice mails to third party.
Yeah.
And that's how so you need to look at whether your OTP and SMS are really, or calling are really working for you, or you want to change that methods, So we are changing those methods also, that number matching,
Yeah.
So that is another deterrent control you have it in place.
Right.
Apart from that, then, are you looking at your browser security? Mm-hmm. So during pandemic, what we observed that when people started working remotely, they tried to circumvent your security controls. How did they do it? So fortunately, we had our IT bots installed on all endpoints, and we started collecting the data of browser. And what we observed that more than 2,500 plus browser extensions were there globally across. We have to segregate unauthorized, authorized one, and out of that authorized one, only 20% were. Rest all were all unauthorized. So we have to develop a tool internally, because this advanced tool you mentioned put intelligence in it, but they were not able to detect those things. So we had a solution developed which could able to detect this extensions and block it at the when they try to download, right? So but I have many things to say.
No, please keep going. But you make a very, very valid point here, and this goes back to the tools proliferation. The problem is, to secure your organization, you put more and more tools, and that makes the user experience really difficult. And people will circumvent. It's in the nature of people to kind of go places where you're told not to go, right? And so you raise a very, very valid point on that as well. Yeah. So I'll come back to you. Subbu, I know you have a take on this intelligence-led strategy. So let's hear yours.
Sure.
It's actually aligned, but slightly different. Yeah.
So if you look at intelligence, and especially in the current era, what intelligence are we talking about? Human intelligence or artificial intelligence? Are we good with human intelligence only, or we need artificial intelligence as well? And if we need both, so we need to actually assess that. Now, let me take an example, an everyday example. I'm sure many of you would be running SOC operations, managing SOC operations, and I'm sure each one of you see tons and tons of incidents every day, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. And with so many incidents that you see every day, it's very difficult to focus on the actual, true, real incident. How do you get there? Can you use AI? Yes, absolutely. So you can use AI. Now, to what extent? So yes, it is great that we have AI today. There is a chat GPT, there is OpenAI, there are so many things happening. But the question is, can we completely do with chat GPT, or we also have to use our own intelligence in combination if we have to really leverage that very well? Likewise, in security, if we can use artificial intelligence to, let's say today you are getting 1,000 incidents in your SOC platform, can we bring it to hundreds? Can AI help you bring it to hundreds? That's the number one question. If yes, great. Then can AI help you bring it from 100 to maybe 10? I don't think so, at least at this point of time, while the AI still learns and gets there. So at this point of time, we need to live with a combination where we start from 1,000 noisy incidents, get to maybe 100 slightly meaningful stuff, and then 10 very precise ones using human intelligence. So part of the job done by AI and the remaining done by human beings. That's what I think is going to work.
And absolutely, and AI is meant to complement humans, not really take away their entire role. I mean, if AI was to take away the entire role of every human out there, I wonder who would actually spend and, feed the economy. That's a discussion for another day. And yeah, that's very, very valid point. So we definitely, and this is exactly where the SecOps and, those kind of technologies come in, right? Pradnya, you mentioned that you use a lot of tools and, some sophisticated, some basic, some to secure your legacy systems. And then you have things like generative AI coming in, and there's whole responsible AI and ethical AI and usage and all of that, right? Compliance based. So how do you manage that? Is it like really tough?
It's tough because considering the advanced threat actors, they are way ahead than us, And the one gentleman asked one question, right? Dormant malware, how do you detect, right? So you do have, don't rely on your traditional security tools. You need to get those advanced tools where, I personally experienced that when we started deploying advanced tool on our network, the dormant malware got detected, And not only that, but identity-based attack also, normal traditional SIEM tool could not able to detect them, but we had a Defender for Identity tool where we could really able to detect the highly sophisticated attacks, through those tools. So you have to change with the pattern or advanced tools what you are looking into market. But not all security tools you want to buy it or deploy or overwhelm your SOC team, because they are getting into too much of alerting, and you need to help them also other side to find in your use cases what you have deployed in the past. Are those relevant currently on today's scenarios? If no, then get those disabled, right? And then EDR systems, they are really good. They are based on AI, ML. They do help you detect ransomware kind of attacks as well, and they help you to go back to your last known good state as well. So there are several things I can pitch in here. One point I missed in earlier, the attackers are targeting user IDs, right? So have you done Active Directory security assessment? Have you strengthened that yet? If not, then you will be going to bound to get attacked again. If you have strengthened that, we have done that thoroughly, and I don't think so. We have seen any attacks again on our AD infrastructure. So those are very, very basic things I am talking about. And other part, threat intelligence I will come across. So if you are getting daily threat advisories, ensure that those IOCs what you are getting from the threat advisories, do hunting within your network, whether you see those hits towards those IOCs for last 15 days at least minimum, or last 90 days. And then have those blocked if you see those. Even though you don't see the hits, have them blocked, and ensure you have the automated use cases in place for future detection in case you get those.
Right. Do you have anything to add to that, or I have another question for you? But yeah, go.
I think what she brought in was Pradnya, I mean, very interesting point towards the end that you said we also need to bring in automation and maintain hygiene. Very important. I think hygiene in security is extremely important, whether it is hygiene of how, all the systems that are there in your environment, hygiene in your processes, in your practices, and also how much can you automate this? Cybersecurity, while we've not really thought of too much of automation here because, no one wants to just have a blind control, but there are places where we can exercise an automated control and there are places where we cannot. To just give you a simple example, if it's an IT environment, maybe matter of couple of systems which are rogue, you can take an action, right? You can take an automated action. For an OT environment, you cannot do that. And that's the balancing act that we need to play. But having said that, at least at this point of time, we need to start adopting automation to ensure that we have the right hygiene.
You have, again, valid point to actually go into the next question that I have for you. One of the results of the survey said the biggest challenges for security is third-party risk, right? And that's where your OT challenges come in. We've spoken to people in the manufacturing sector who says that, our suppliers, they don't have the same level of sophistication. We still need some level of integration. They use IoT sensors and other operational technology solutions. And how do you mitigate that risk? How do you, I keep talking about a risk-led cyber strategy and all of that. But, do you ensure that they have the same, policies in place? You can't, right? They don't have the investment, they don't have that. So how do you manage that one?
Absolutely. You can't have the same level of control in OT like you have in IT. But I think before we get to control, what we fundamentally need to do is look at where to start. And when you talk about where to start, in the current world, it is important that we understand what we have first. And what I mean by that is it's very simple. Like, today you go to a bank, as an individual and you say you want to open an account. What do they say? Give me your Aadhaar, give me your PAN, 10 other things, right? What are they trying to do? They are trying to know you. It's a KYC process. Forget starting a new account. Even an existing account becomes dormant if you don't do a KYC in a year, right? So it is not one time anymore. It is continuous. It is regular. Hence, in our IT world as well, we need to know our environment. It is like KYC in the real world, KYE in the IT world or the OT world, right? So we need to know our environment. KYE is extremely important. And when I say know your environment, IT is no longer enough. Why? Because the world is converging. It's not just about laptops and desktops. It is about, laptops, desktops, printers, IP cameras, a PLC, SCADA, a blood infuser, an MRI machine. I don't know. You can just go on and on and on. If you look at our own, if you go back and think about our own household, we have so many connected devices, right? Everything is smart. Smart fridge, smart fan, I don't know. Everything is smart, right? Or supposed to be smart. So if you look at it, likewise, if you extrapolate that problem to an enterprise, we are not, 5 years back, no one was talking about OT being scope of protection. We were all focused on IT systems, put agents and, run the show. But now our scope has become much wider. Our attack surface is much bigger. So very foundational step is to understand what we have. That's the number one step. And then we can categorize them. Okay, this is OT, this is printer, this is maybe an IT system. And the third step comes control. Because once you do the first and the second step right, the third step becomes very easy. Because IT system, if there are 5 systems which are rogue, I can block them. It really is not going to break my business. But if you talk about an OT or a PLC, you can't block it. But you still know what problem you have. And then maybe call up that vendor, Siemens, Honeywell, please come and fix this. But you still know what that problem is. So it's important that we know the problem, we assess the risk continuously, not one time. So we know our environment, assess the posture, and then depending on where we can take an action, we take an action. Where we can automate it, all the more better.
Cool, thank you. And let's change tack a little bit. And Pradnya, because you've been sharing a lot of, very everyday, real issues and problems, I'm going to ask you this. I said policy, people, technology. Which of the three is the hardest?
All of them.
No, you have to choose one, sorry.
People.
People, huh?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, people are the one who get targeted, right, by threat actors, because they know they are the very easy target, right? And I have seen the scammers connecting with the employees over the social media, luring them to fall prey for their enticement into monetary gain or any other gain, right? And then insider threat is one. So what we did, we developed a solution to detect insider fraud, proactively before any damage or business impact happens to your environment. So, as I mentioned, just don't depend on your security tools. You rightly mentioned that put intelligence into it. So we are leveraging RPA, robotic process automations, to detect such fraud internally.
Right.
You just don't focus on the external attacks, but internally also you are getting attacked. Right. That also you need to focus on and streamline those. And then one major important thing is continuous security awareness advisories. You need to send it to the employees, because we are human beings tend to forget, but you don't let them forget by emphasizing on your security policies continuously. And that we really do it very well, So we do get users coming to us, notifying us, okay, this unsolicited email, I see it, can you just do analysis and let us know whether I should go back and reply and open that attachment or not, So that kind of proactiveness should be there before user take any action on their side, right?
I'm going to ask same question to the two of you, and it might be slightly controversial because I think cybersecurity, I don't think, it's a fact. Cybersecurity is the most fragmented technology market out there, right? Every second day you find a new cyber technology vendor, provider, And I'm going to ask this to you, Pradnya, and I want it to be a little bit of a debate, and Subbu, you can kind of, go whichever way you want to. How do you choose your cyber technology vendor? There are so many, right? From endpoint to managed services to all of it. What do you look for in them?
While selecting vendors, we get connected with multiple vendors, right? And then after discussion, we ensure that we should evaluate each of them and see on our real production environment how they perform. And based on the outcome of those, we do go ahead and select them. It is not always about the cost, but it is always about the quality, what you get it out of those security tools or from the vendor. And also do the checks on your third party vendor, whether how they are performing in the market, right? So, there are multiple factors I can name it here.
I really want to hear
say whatever you want to say.
I'm really keen on listening to Subbu's take on this.
I'm keeping my ears closed.
Go ahead.
All right, so I have two answers. One from my heart and one from my mind. Answer number one from my heart. Buy Forescout. on a lighter note, but if you look at from my mind, I feel today it's time, you brought an important point that cybersecurity is fragmented, and I've really seen it closely. I've been in this industry for about 18, 19 years, and it is fragmented, and at times it is taxing for customers to really pick and choose. But I feel there are a couple of priorities that you can put in place to choose. One is a given vendor, what problems is a given vendor solving? Only one problem? Two problems? Three problems? So is it exactly a point solution which is addressing only one problem, or is this solution capable of solving 1, 2 or 3 problems that I have? So that is, I think, one of the key criteria to selection. The second, is this vendor going to do everything on his own, or is he going to really collaborate and work with or integrate with the other technologies that I have in my ecosystem. Because security is not a solitary job. If someone says that I can do everything, that's not a fact. So the question is, there is a best of breed in every area, right? And you would have made those investments very logically. Now the question is a given vendor able to integrate with whatever investments you have made and provide you value? So I would say that these two are extremely important points. One is how many problems a given vendor can solve. Second, how well they can optimize the investments that you have already made.
No, good. I apologize for asking that question. I just had to, stir things up a little bit. I don't want to keep people away from, checking out and lunch and all of that. But I just also have two experts on the table. Just, in like elevator pitch almost. What is the one advice that you would like to give your peers in the room today? Pradnya, we'll start with you.
My advice will be to keep updated yourself with the advanced threats, whatever coming in the wild, because that is the key thing. If you do not, and also keep updating, learn. Those are the key factors, And if you do not focus on those, and you never know on what time you will get attacked, right? So that is simple and short. I want to keep it.
No, that's exactly why forums such as this is so useful, right? So thank you for that, Pradnya. Subbu.
I would say, first of all, security is a culture. It's a habit. I think it's important that we look at it as a habit. We make it a process, because people will change, technology will change. But processes don't change that fast. So look at a McDonald's. They don't have the same staff every day. They don't have the same machine every day, but they have the process. So I think process is important. Secondly, from a high level view of how we can look at our connected world today, we live in a world which is extremely connected, full of devices. So it's important that we understand what assets we have. So we look at a very simple asset, risk, threat and control kind of a framework to deal with the problem. Starting with what assets we have, understanding the risks that they bring to the business, adding a layer of threat which gives you an intelligence of what is happening, real threat, not noise, and finally controlling wherever possible, automating wherever possible, remediating wherever possible. That's it from me.
That's it. With that, the two of you have definitely earned your lunch. Thank you very much for sharing the stage with me.
Thank you so much, Sash. Thank you, Pradnya.
Thank you so much, Pradnya, Sash, Subbu, thank you so much.